Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
This is the Bloomberg Daybreak Europe podcast. Good morning. It's Wednesday, the 29th of October. I'm Stephen Carroll in London. Coming up today, Nvidia's CEO dismisses talk of an AI bubble as he makes the case for tech firms' sky-high valuations. UBS delivers results that smash expectations on a big day for European bank earnings. Plus, why high-frequency trading is about to get even faster as a Canary Wharf rooftop becomes the new battleground for those seeking an edge. Let's start with a roundup of our top stories. The boss of the world's most valuable company, Nvidia, has dismissed concerns of an artificial intelligence bubble, saying the company's latest chips are on track to generate $500 billion in revenue. Speaking to Bloomberg at an Nvidia event in Washington, CEO Jensen Huang said the $4.9 trillion company is partnering with firms like Nokia, Uber and Palantir to keep its technology at the centre of the AI boom.
I don't believe we're in an AI bubble. And the reason for that is we're going through a natural transition from an old computing model based on general purpose computing to accelerated computing. We also know that AI has now become good enough because of reasoning capability, research capabilities, its ability to think. It's now generating tokens and now generating intelligence that's worth paying for.
Huang's comments came as the world's most valuable startup, OpenAI, unveiled a sweeping restructuring that gives longtime backer Microsoft a 27% stake valued at about $135 billion. Together, the announcements highlight the unprecedented waves of investment and speculation fueling valuations across the sector. Well, Jensen Huang also warned that maintaining America's edge in AI will require an approach that keeps China reliant on US technology. The Nvidia CEO also said that President Trump's vow to win the global AI race is exactly what's needed.
We're currently assuming China is going to be 0% of our business. And if it comes back, if President Trump was able to negotiate, or if China would like us to come back to China, it's going to be a huge bonus for us.
Huang's comments come as the US president prepares to meet his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping to finalise a series of trade agreements aimed at rolling back tariffs, fees and export restrictions. Speaking to reporters on Air Force One, Trump said he will raise the issue of Nvidia's chips during the meeting.
We'll be speaking about Blackwell is the super duper chip. Blackwell's amazing. Nvidia makes it. We're about 10 years ahead of anybody else in chips, in the highly sophisticated chips. I think we may be talking about that with President Xi.
That was President Trump speaking, also saying that he hopes to lower tariffs in exchange for Chinese commitments on soybeans and fentanyl. To some of the European banks reporting this morning, UBS has seen profits more than $1 billion higher than expected in the third quarter. Net income came in at almost $2.5 billion. Analysts had expected $1.4 billion. The result was aided by lower than expected legal costs over the settlement of a tax evasion case in France and a legacy Credit Suisse issue. The Swiss lender's investment bank saw pre-tax profits that was double what was estimated at $900 million. Inflows at the key wealth management unit came in ahead of estimates at $38 billion, though pre-tax profit there was below estimates. Now, staying with bank earnings, Santander's profits also came in above expectations at €3.5 billion for the quarter. Net interest income at the Spanish lender missed estimates, but loan loss provisions were lower than had been expected. While in Germany, Deutsche Bank has reported pre-tax profits that also beat expectations, coming in at €2.45 billion. That was boosted by better than expected revenue from its fixed income and currency sales and trading division. That came in at €2.48 billion. To other news, Hurricane Melissa has made landfall as the strongest storm ever recorded in Jamaica, with sustained winds of 185 miles per hour. The storm has brought days of torrential rain, putting residents and an estimated 25,000 tourists at risk. Jamaica's Education Minister, Dana Dixon, says the conditions are the worst the island has ever experienced.
It is important that we get everyone out, get people to safe areas. It's not just the wind, it's also the rain. The rainfall will be record levels.
Education Minister Dana Dixon speaking there. Melissa, now downgraded to a Category 4 storm, is expected to reach Cuba and the Bahamas in the next few hours. At least 20 people are reported to have been killed in Gaza after Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered what he called forceful strikes against Hamas. Israeli military officials said the action was in response to Hamas militants attacking their soldiers in the territory. Jen Gavito, a senior advisor at the Cohen Group, says there's still a long way to go before the ceasefire can truly hold.
I do think that, if you put this agreement in the context of broader normalization potential between Arab states and Israel, everybody has incentive to make this work long term. But there is an awful lot of work to be done, not least of which, the very, very basic humanitarian requirements as a starting point, and then reducing the violence in the West Bank as well.
Jen Gavito speaking there as the renewed military action tested an agreement whose key terms called for both Hamas and Israeli forces to halt their attacks. However, speaking in the past few hours, the US President Donald Trump said that nothing is going to jeopardise the ceasefire he brokered just over 2 weeks ago, adding that Hamas is only a very small part of peace in the Middle East. And Federal Reserve policymakers are expected to lower interest rates by a 0.25 percentage point later today. That comes despite a lack of available data due to the ongoing US government shutdown. Fed Chair Jerome Powell signalled earlier this month that rate setters remain focused on threats to the labour market, but former Kansas City Fed President Esther George says the central bank should not lose sight of its goal to keep inflation on target.
This is a tough environment when you have cross currents of major policies in play, of judging what that outlook is going to be. That, of course, is why they're paying particular attention to the labor market. I think that's right to keep an eye on that. But by the same token, their most direct impact does come through their inflation reduction ability.
That was former Kansas City Fed President Esther George there speaking, as we will have live coverage and analysis of the central bank's rate decision on Bloomberg Radio at 6 p.m. London time, with Jerome Powell's full press conference 30 minutes later. Well, those are our top stories. On the markets this morning, we're looking at the MSCI Asia Pacific Index up by 0.4%. The Nikkei in Tokyo 2.1% higher. The Kospi in Seoul 1.7% higher. European stock futures a little lower, down 0.2% for Euro Stoxx 50, although Nasdaq futures on Wall Street are up 0.4% as we're thinking about the movement in tech shares today. The 10-year Treasury yield ahead of that Fed decision holding steady at 3.98%. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index is 0.1% stronger. Now, in a moment, more on the latest bumper projections for AI chip sales, plus why a battle over proximity is changing the game for high-frequency traders in London. But another story that I've been reading this morning, younger customers have a bone to pick with KFC. Apparently, bone-in fried chicken is making the brand irrelevant and invisible. That's according to its US President, Catherine Tan Gillespie, who's been speaking to our colleague Red Brown about this. He's been writing about how there's a boom in popularity for fried chicken at American restaurants, but surprisingly that's not helping KFC, which is actually the only one of the big chains that focuses on this area, to see its sales fall last year. Now, Catherine Tan Gillespie from KFC told Red that KFC used to be an American icon, but somewhere along the way they stopped acting like one, and apparently this is due to the increased popularity of boneless chicken products, which KFC sells some of but doesn't focus on as well. So the numbers from industry monitors have seen the sales of boneless chicken go up by more than 11%, while bone-in chicken has fallen by 4%, in case you're looking for data on your chicken consumption this hour of the morning. So this is something that KFC is now trying to push back on with new products, cut prices, and also viral marketing campaigns as well. Red points out, though, that KFC actually tried out buckets of boneless chickens in 2013, but it didn't last. Maybe they were just ahead of their time. You can read his full piece on Bloomberg.com, and we'll put a link to it in our podcast show notes. Now back to the tech story. Nvidia's Jensen Huang dismissing concerns about an AI bubble as he predicted another surge in sales for its chips next year. There was also a similar message from one of Nvidia's top suppliers, South Korea's SK Hynix, as it reported an over 60% jump in profit. Our technology editor, Mayumi Nagishi, joins me now for more. Mayumi, great to have you with us. Are Jensen Huang's comments then calming fears in the markets that the AI rally's gone too far too fast?
No, I don't think so. But he's definitely giving people the confidence that other people will believe the party will go on for a while yet, I would say. Nvidia supplier shares are up. Advanced Test shares surged more than 20%. SK Hynix shares are up. Jensen Huang saying that Blackwell and Rubin will bring in $500 billion in revenue is just, it's just mind-boggling numbers here. And it's clear that orders are coming into Nvidia supplier. I think the underlying concerns remain. As a consumer, I have yet to come across an AI service I can't do without. And it's still a struggle to justify this level of spending and these types of valuations that really are kind of in part being fueled by the same companies investing in one another and buying products from each other. But that said, bubbles to a certain point are necessary for innovation. It just gets more and more costly to develop like really life-changing technology and infrastructure. So I think that's what we're seeing in action. And the hope is that when we emerge on the other side, we will have, as a society, built something that has improved our lives so that we can all quickly dust ourselves off when the party does end.
Well, indeed. But, I mean, no sign of the party ending if you look at SK Hynix's earnings today. What did we learn from them?
Well, that this competition between tech companies and countries to sort of build AI has hit fever pitch. SK Hynix says that they sold out on all their entire memory chip lineup for all of next year. I mean, that everything has been spoken for. So we're talking, not just the cutting edge AI chips, but, more conventional chips that you use in servers, storage devices, and switches. So that's real equipment and real companies putting a lot of money down to reserve this kind of infrastructure because the competition is just so fierce and everyone is afraid of falling behind.
This is interesting to think about too, given Donald Trump's trip to Asia. Jensen Huang saying that he'll be seeing Donald Trump at the APEC summit as well. How vulnerable is Nvidia or this sector in general to the US president's policies?
I think it's extremely important. I mean, this meeting will be pivotal. This may be one of the few chances left for Nvidia to pry open the China market for Nvidia chips again. Right now, the technological lead Nvidia has over Huawei is so formidable that China might still be tempted to not go cold turkey on Nvidia chips just yet and put its sort of long-term objectives of building tech resilience and independence aside. But that said, I mean, all this on again, off again, curbs on chip technology has really spooked China and underlines the importance of developing its own chip supply chain and chip ecosystem. So right now, NVIDIA's lead is so vast that Chinese companies are sort of compensating by bundling lots of Huawei chips together to try to match NVIDIA performance. And, that just means you need more power. But the longer China is sort of forced to try to build its own chip supply chain and ecosystem, the longer Chinese developers will come to rely on their own homegrown software, and the more difficult it will be for NVIDIA to come back in. So it really hurts NVIDIA to be shut out of this huge renaissance that's occurring right now in AI and robotics in China.
Yeah, and a fascinating one to watch as well. Mayumi Nagishi, our technology editor, thank you very much for bringing us the latest on that story. Stay with us. More from Bloomberg Daybreak Europe coming up after this. Now, high-frequency trading is about to get even faster in London after a little-known technology firm took on the London Stock Exchange Group in order to get access to a building's rooftop for its radio devices. It follows an investigation by the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, and our private markets reporter Meg Short joins us now for more. Meg, good morning. Great to see you. What is this investigation about?
So it's really over a rooftop in East London and who can access it. LSEG, the data center for their exchange sits in the building. And previously, before the investigation, it was only them who could access it. So McKay Brothers, the little-known company, they had to, and other providers, had to put their radio technology on different rooftops, and they were ultimately further away from the exchange. And that's quite important because their radio technology is connecting high-frequency traders to the exchange, and it's all about speed. So we're talking like a billionth of a second, but that can be the difference of millions of dollars, really. So, yeah, that's what it's about, the access to the rooftop.
So why are these radio signals so important then for high-frequency trading?
Because it's basically this new kind of technology. So previously, high-frequency trading, let's start there, that involves these really complex algorithms that kind of churn and analyze data, and then they execute the trades upon that. It used to all be about fiber cables and how to make them the straightest so that they could be the quickest, but now it's about this like microwave technology. McKay Brothers was actually one of the first to kind of come up with this specific technology. High frequency traders, you're thinking of firms like Virtue and Jane Street. They used to be, it's not really a new thing anymore, but it kind of was a bit vilified if you think of like Flash Boy's Michael Lewis book, as kind of front-running investors getting ahead of normal trading, but it's not that new anymore, so it's a little bit different.
This is Bloomberg Daybreak Europe, your morning brief on the stories making news from London to Wall Street and beyond.
Look for us on your podcast feed every morning on Apple, Spotify and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
You can also listen live each morning on London DAB Radio, the Bloomberg Business app and Bloomberg.com.
Our flagship New York station is also available on your Amazon Alexa devices. Just say, Alexa, play Bloomberg 1130. I'm Caroline Hepker.
And I'm Stephen Carroll. Join us again tomorrow morning for all the news you need to start your day, right here on Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.